Here's a tough question. When should a kid have a phone? Well, there are lots of factors to consider, like their age and their maturity. Hi everyone, Marina Saff here, and I'm doing another video just like the Sephora Kids one I did last time. And it's literally just gonna be about like phones and kids and some stuff I found on the internet regarding the whole phones thing with kids. You know what I mean? Like, it's just my thoughts backed by some research I did. So, phones, they're literally everywhere. Everyone has them, and it's practically impossible to avoid not having a phone. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I didn't have a phone, an actual smartphone, until I was 19. And I think that's way too late for a kid in this age. First, however, let me rewind a bit back to my childhood. I remember texting my mom on my nanny's Nokia phone. You know, you just have to like press a bunch of buttons and you have to press a button a bunch of times in order to get the letter you want, depending on what letter you're texting. And it's like, yeah, it's not as like smart as and advanced as like the smartphones of today. And I say that because literally you just had I like I said with the button pressing and a bunch of times pressing the button, and the games you could play on the Nokia that I remember are like, I don't remember the other one, but I remember there was a snake game that you actually had to like move the snake around, and God forbid it bites its own tail and it has to eat food in order to get longer. You know that game? Fast forward to 2024, and everyone has a smartphone. Literally everyone I know has a smartphone, and they can like play games like Among Us and Subway servers. They can watch YouTube videos like this video you're watching right now, and they can also like surf the web, play some games. Oh my god, like, you know what I mean? That's a lot of stuff that happened in ever since I was just texting on my mom's Nokia. But let me hold you right there. When is the right age to give your kid a phone? The question I asked in the beginning of this video. Well, it's a case-by-case basis. According to Max Stossel, founder of and CEO of Social Awakening, a group that promotes healthy use of technology and social media, he suggests that parents should not give their kid a phone until they reach the 8th grade. Personally, I think that is a good benchmark and achievement to strive for your kid, but there's other factors that should come into play, and I'll talk about that in a second. Personally, for me, I didn't have any sort of phone until the 9th grade, and it wasn't even a smartphone. It was just those flip phones that you could just snapshot when you're done on the phone. Like, you just like, bye. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those flip phones. And honestly, it kind of felt like that was kind of an okay move by my mom. I know she was kind of worried about me getting addicted to my phone and stuff. And yeah, I feel like that might have played out in her favor because I'm not as like spending a lot of time on my smartphone now that I've had since 2021, and it's just like, not really. What I'm trying to say is that I feel like it has its benefits and I feel like it had its drawbacks. Sometime in the middle of 9th grade, my mom took away my flip phone for some reason. She lost it and she never gave it back, and it was just, and I didn't have a smartphone for the rest of high school. I just had to wait until like 2021 to get my smartphone that was a hand-me-down from my stepdad. So I spent 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade without a smartphone. And when my mom was running late and the school was shutting down because it was the end of the school day and people just want to go home, I would have to ask random students to call my mom so I can borrow their phone. And it pissed me off to no end. Like, this is why I'm saying that 8th grade is a good benchmark for your kid to get a phone, so they don't have to do what I had to do and ask random people to borrow their phones, and they'd be like, why? And I'm like, just give me the phone. I don't need to call my mom. I don't have a phone. And they're like, why? Yeah, I remember at the time I was like really pissed about that. However, what if, let's say a parent has a kid in the 6th grade and their bus is running late and they have no way to contact their parents? Well, they can go to the office and ask for a phone to call their mom or dad or whatever, or they could just call their parents on a phone that has no ability to social media, like i.e. not a smartphone, like just one of those flip phones that I had, and I feel like that would be a good move for a situation like that. Just give the kid a phone that is not a smartphone, something like a flip phone that can only be used for texting and calling, like those, like in the 2000s. And that way they can actually contact their parents if need be, and they don't get addicted to like phones and don't spend a lot of time on it, like social media, gaming, and all that other stuff that we do now. And I think that's a good move. That's what Stossel recommends too. Following the advice Stossel recommends on giving a kid a phone in the 8th grade, you can't just give it to them, let them do whatever the heck they want willy-nilly. You gotta set boundaries with these kids. Like, moderation is key. You gotta set limits on the phone, some ground rules, restrict the apps they can use if they're under 18, restrict some of the movies or whatever. Just have some restrictions in key. This is a case-by-case basis, so I'm just setting some, spewing out some general stuff that I think should be done for every family that decides to give their kid a phone in the 8th grade, and literally any family that has kids. This also includes the idea that parents have the right to revoke access to the phone if a kid is abusing the phone privileges, and the off chance that the phone gets lost or broken, and the parents should discuss with the kid what they're going to do if the phone gets lost or broken or whatever. And yeah, I think that's very important. Those are just my opinion, just some ground rules I would do for the families that have phones, stuff that I would do if I ever have my own kids. I don't know how long that's going to be though. Other things to consider when thinking of giving your kid a phone include how responsible they are, how tech savvy they are, and how disciplined they are. There's also the issue of giving a kid with ADHD a phone. And kids with ADHD have trouble paying attention, controlling their impulses, remembering things, among other things that I'm not going to list, but you can look that up on your own. Add a phone to the mix and the ADHD symptoms go off the rails. So the fact that kid has ADHD could affect whether they get their first smartphone, because a lot of screen time can lead to hyperactivity, disorganization, and restlessness, which are all part of having ADHD. There's also a recent study showing a correlation between screen time and the intensity of ADHD symptoms. I'm not going to sit here and bore you with some statistics because I'm not entirely sure if the channel is like the right place for that. I'm not so sure if this is going to be a channel that's going to be like talking about stuff like this, but we'll see what happens in the future. We'll see what happens. Anyway, that concludes the video. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment if you have anything to say, and I'll see you around.